Hello, this is D, and I'm back with another video. Well, today I have an update on the CMA Microsoft situation as well as Microsoft extending the close date. Now, many of us were expecting and hoping that this deal would close out as early as Tuesday. Now, of course, this is not the case. Microsoft is not going to close over the UK. Now, I guess gotta be honest here on the channel. Although Microsoft does have the ability to close over the UK, it is no longer a probable thing. This is just not going to happen. Microsoft is sitting down with the CMA, they're working it out with the regulators, and they're gonna take the time to complete this deal right. Now, I will say that I kind of was leaning on the side of Microsoft just closing over the UK and just coming back and dealing with it afterwards, because I know that the two sides would hash out a deal. Now, my feelings, of course, got a little bit involved here because the CMA, they blocked Microsoft for no reason, or I should say for no good reason. Their evidence was just poor, and especially when the EU had some concessions that Microsoft agreed to, I don't understand why the CMA just didn't do the deal. Now it looks like they are going to do the deal. It looks like Microsoft is going to be selling off their Xbox Cloud division in the UK. So I don't mean like selling off all the rights. It's just another company is going to handle it, which will add for, I guess, the competition in the UK. And this is what the CMA wants, and Microsoft is agreeing to it. So in the scheme of things, it's just gonna make things take a lot longer. Now, before I get into today's video, please like it. I see a lot of guys watching the premieres and commenting down in the comment section, but you guys aren't leaving a like. Now, the like really helps the video, it helps share it out. So if you like the content that I do, just hit the like button. Now, Lulu Xing from Microsoft, she gives us an update on Activision Blizzard merger with Microsoft agreement and that the deadline has been extended. Now, she goes on to say the recent decision in the US and approvals in 40 countries all validate that the deal is good for competition, players, and the future of gaming. Given global regulatory approvals and companies' confidence that the CMA now recognize that there are remedies available to meet their concerns in the UK, the Activision Blizzard and Microsoft boards of directors have authorized the companies not to terminate the deal until October 18th. We're confident in our next steps that our deal will quickly close. Now, a lot of people this morning were freaking out when they saw the October 18th date. Yes, that is pretty far away. So this is basically a 90-day extension. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't think it's going to take 90 days to complete this deal. If I had to estimate, I would say maybe the second week in August, this deal is done, and we're talking about Microsoft now owning Activision. So that's my prediction on that. I think it's going to happen pretty quickly. I think they just have to make sure they go over all the procedural stuff properly. As I step back and I look at everything, I got to give some of these reporters credit. Although I knew Microsoft could close over the merger in the UK, it was not the right thing to do, especially when business is concerned. Microsoft, they're going to want to acquire other companies. And if they were to go ahead and close over the UK, that would leave a sour taste in some of the regulatory bodies in these regions. So it's better that Microsoft does this deal right. So next time when they have an acquisition, they're not going to run into so much roadblocks. They will have something to look at from the past and say, yes, Microsoft cooperated, they did everything that's correct. And I don't think they'd be under so much scrutiny, at least to approve a deal. Now, of course, that's neither here nor there. We'll see when that happens, but that's the reason why Microsoft wants to do everything correctly. So for those of you out there that I gave the hope that Microsoft would close over the UK, I do apologize. But the good news is that this deal will definitely close. Both sides are on the same page. Like I said, it's just a procedural thing at this moment. All right, so right now we're going to go over to Tom Warren, and he says, reading between the lines, it looks like Microsoft, Activision, and even the CMA are aiming for this to be closed by August 29th. The CMA issued a final order of extension to this date, and the new termination fee jumps to $3.5 billion on August 29th, and I believe on October 18th, it goes up to $5 billion. So overall, if Microsoft doesn't get this deal done, they're going to have to pay Activision $5 billion. But I do believe that this deal is going to be done much sooner than later. Yes, the October 18th date, it looks kind of far away, and a lot of things can happen in that time period. but they leave the door open just in case there's any type of complications. So let's go over and read Tom's article over at The Verge, and he goes on to say that Microsoft and Activision Blizzard have agreed to extend their merger agreements pending the outcome of negotiations with the UK regulators. Both parties will now have until October 18th to finalize the transaction after missing yesterday's original deadline. The recent decisions in the US approvals in 40 countries validate the deal is good for competition, players, and the future of gaming. Now we have a tweet from Phil Spencer, and he says, Microsoft and Activision Blizzard have extended the merger agreement deadline to 10/18. We're optimistic about getting this done and excited about bringing more games to more players everywhere. Microsoft Vice Chair and President Brad Smith says 3 months extension is designed to provide ample time to work through the final regulatory issues. Both Microsoft and Activision Blizzard have also agreed to a higher termination fee, a new commercial arrangement for transaction of termination fee payable if Microsoft or Activision walks away from the deal. It is now set at $3.5 billion if the deal doesn't close by August 29th, and it jumps to $4.5 billion September 15th, passes without finalization. Activision has also agreed to potentially hold separate the company or certain assets of the company to implement their lawful alternatives to consummate the merger with the UK regulators. This is a key part as it may allow the merger to go ahead with restrictions from the UK's Competition and Mergers Authority. This is a very interesting update. So basically, once Microsoft and the CMA hash out a deal and they're both confident before everything, goes through the bureaucracy, I should say, they can go ahead and finalize this deal. And I do think this is probably going to happen. Now, this has been floated around that the CMA could actually give Microsoft its blessing to close the deal. So this is great news. And this tells me that the CMA and Microsoft, they really want to get a deal done because they wouldn't have put this in otherwise. And this is a pretty big development. So for those of you that think that it's going to close on October 18th or it's going to fail, I hope this kind of calms your nerves a little bit. It does appear that this deal is going to be done much sooner than the 18th of October. And like I said earlier, I would be surprised if it goes past the second week of August. I really do believe that both sides are pretty close. Now it's just pretty much all of the paperwork that just got to jump through all the hoops. And I think sooner than later, we're going to hear that this deal is announced. Now, the article goes on to say that this 3-month delay is related to Microsoft's ongoing negotiations with the CMA. The UK regulator originally blocked the deal over the cloud gaming concerns earlier this year. While Microsoft has appealed that decision, the company is also preparing to reportedly offer a new proposal to sell off the rights to its cloud gaming in the UK to try and get the deal over the line. Now, as you can see, Brad Smith says, together with Activision, we're announcing the extension of our merger agreement to 10/18 to provide ample time to work through the final regulatory issues. We will honor all commitments agreed upon with the EC and other regulators and continue to work with the CMA. Okay, so we're just going to breeze through the rest of this. Like usual, I'll leave a link in the description down below so you guys can check it out for yourself. So pretty much he says, reading between the lines, it looks like Microsoft and Activision Blizzard are timing for a lot sooner than October 18th. The CMA also said last week that it will now issue a final order by August 29th, and Microsoft and Activision Blizzard have agreed on a termination fee increase of $3.5 billion for the same date. That suggests that there's a realistic prospect of Microsoft's proposal to the CMA being completed by August 29th, but the company has a lot more time should the regulator need more time to fully investigate its changes to the terms of the deal. Finally, in an internal memo to Xbox employees, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer says he's optimistic about the acquisition still being finalized. And this is what he says to the internal team. Microsoft and Activision Blizzard remain optimistic that we will get our acquisition over the finish line, so we have jointly agreed to extend the merger agreement to October 18th, 2023. While we can technically close in the United States due to the recent legal developments, this extension gives us additional time to resolve the remaining regulatory concerns in the UK. So right off the bat, I just want to address this because a lot of people were saying that Microsoft can't close the deal without the UK. You have Phil Spencer right here saying that although we can close this in the United States, we still want to work out our issues of concerns with the regulators in the UK. Now, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have said that because the right thing to do is to cooperate with the regulator. Like many of you guys, I was at the point, just close over them, forget about them, and we'll deal with them later. But that's not the correct way to do business. So I just gotta say, to my UK people that are upset with me for saying that Microsoft would close over the UK, I do apologize on that. It's not the right thing to do, although I will say they could have done it, and you see that right here. Okay, we'll move on from this. But he goes on to say, I want to thank everyone for your time and energy and support for our regulatory process and all the great work coming in fruition from Xbox this year. Players around the world will be delighted with the incredible lineup of games, including the launching of, in a few months, Starfield and Forza Motorsport. It's also great to see the fantastic work the ABK teams are delivering for the players with the successful launch of Diablo and the ongoing performance of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and we congratulate them on their accomplishments. As we move even closer to the finish line, we are more excited than ever before about furthering our mission to bring more games to more players everywhere. So Microsoft seems confident. I seem confident from everything that I see. This deal is going to get done. I don't think it's going to take to the 18th of October. I don't even think it's going to take until the 29th of August. I think that this deal will be done in the second week of August, and I think this will be a thing of the past. And I also want to mention, since they brought up Call of Duty here, yesterday I noticed on Twitter that Call of Duty servers appeared to be fixed by Microsoft. So apparently a lot of gamers are now playing the older Call of Duty titles because Microsoft has revived or fixed those servers. I don't know all the details on it. I just know that a lot of gamers are playing it and online is working now. So that's pretty good news. You already see the commitment from Microsoft. And let's just be honest, Call of Duty is an awesome game. A lot of people like it. Some of the guys like the older games better than the new games. So this has to be exciting news. And let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section down below. Now we're going to move on to something else. And before I do that, I want to ask everyone, please hit the like button. I notice a lot of you guys, you watch my content, you enjoy it, you make a lot of comments, but you forget to hit the like button, and it really helps out the channel. It's really quick just to hit it, and it really helps share this video out. Now, I also want to touch a little bit on this. Now, when I was doing my last video, a lot of people wanted me to talk about this. Now, the gamers' lawsuit, the appeal was thrown out. They also went to Supreme Court to try to get an appeal. And the reason why I didn't cover this is because it's a bunch of nonsense. Now, if the FTC's case was tossed out, if they lost in court, if they lost their appeal, and they lost their appeal to the Supreme Court, in fact, I didn't think it would get heard anytime soon. Now, Justice Kagan has rejected a long-shot emergency request that was filed by the gamers trying to block the Microsoft Activision merger. So here you go. It's dead. I don't even know why they attempted it. I found it really funny. Some of the guys on Twitter, they were saying, some of the guys that are against the Xbox deal, they were saying that they're behind this deal. Like someone said, oh, this is Red Dragon's suit, and he got denied once again. Now, of course, this is not the Red Dragon suit. These are gamers, I guess, but who is representing these gamers? Where are they getting the money to do all of these appeals? Because these cost a lot of money. These lawyers, they are not cheap. So it's really interesting. I just want to know who is funding them. Is someone from Sony funding them? I'm not implying that. I just want to know who's funding these guys because it's absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, it was tossed out, so we don't have to worry about them anymore. Now it's just basically Microsoft and the CMA hashing out this deal, getting it done, and I hope that it will be soon. Now, we're not quite done yet because the FTC appears to be facing more heat once again, and this time it's from 22 House Republicans calling for the FTC to drop its opposition of the Microsoft Activision merger. Now, this is a big deal. Now, as far as I know, the FTC, they are still going after Microsoft. They're still going to hold their hearing in their tribunal court, I should say, or their specialty court. It's their own court. It's the FTC's court. I believe it's sometime in August. They're going to have their hearing there. And it's just unbelievable. They were denied by the judge, and they were denied for good reasons. It wasn't on technicalities. They did not present the evidence that supported their case. It was to the contrary, like we've said all the time. This deal proves that it's good for consumers, and the rest of the world agrees with that as well. So seeing how everything has played out, seeing how Sony has signed the contract for Call of Duty for 10 years, why are you still going after Microsoft? It is ridiculous. You're wasting the taxpayers' dollars. When Lena Khan was being grilled by the Congress, they asked, why are you still going after Microsoft? Why are you going after this appeal when you know you're going to lose because it's based on the facts and the judge is going to look at the facts and the facts don't support what you're going to say, so you're going to lose. And yet they still went ahead with that appeal, and of course they lost, and they wasted the taxpayers' dollars. Congress is not impressed with the FTC. They lowered their spending or their funding by 25%. That is significant. And now they want them to drop this deal against Microsoft because they are wasting the taxpayers' dollars. Now, I don't want to say that the FTC is not an important organization. They are, and they do some good work. This, however, is not part of that portfolio. This is horrible. They let Sony gaslight them. They went after Microsoft and they lost. And when you look at the facts, they really lost badly. They showed the opposite of what they were trying to prove. They showed that this deal is good for everyone, that it's good for competition. So now is a case being wrong and strong. And you shouldn't be doing that with the taxpayers' dollars. So I think they're probably going to have to drop this case. We're going to see, and anything goes with the FTC. As you know, they seem to have a bone to pick with Microsoft. They're being very petty. Now, we're going to read this article. It comes from armstronghouse.government or something. Like usual, I'll leave it in the link down below so you guys can check it out for yourself. Now, it says today, Congressman Kelly Armstrong led 21 colleagues, including Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan and Oversight and Accountability Committee Chairman James Comer, to the Federal Trade Commission, calling for it to drop the illegitimate antitrust case against Microsoft and return to its long history of sensible, consumer-oriented antitrust enforcement. The FTC should pursue antitrust policies that is pro-consumers and promotes innovation, not weaponize ideological pursuits, said Congressman Armstrong. The FTC's recent turn away from the long-standing practices risks stifling growth and hurting consumer welfare. Its budget has swelled, and all there is to show is a mounting list of court losses. The FTC should stop its anti-American policies that jeopardize the health of our economy and threaten to increase the cost to consumers. The FTC's case against Microsoft's acquisition of Activision is the latest in a series of actions that are clearly designed to impede legitimate mergers and acquisitions, while ignoring decades of settled FTC practices across Republican and Democratic administrations, instead of protecting competitors as Congress intended. The FTC has spent taxpayer resources seeking to block a deal that promises to expand consumers' choice and insulate a dominant foreign company from competition. So they actually mentioned Sony here, that the FTC was protecting Sony. You can't make this up. Unbelievable. So we were saying this all along, that the FTC was arguing for Sony's benefits, that they were arguing on the behalf of Sony. They were trying to protect their interests. And we have Congress saying that. And the judge even said it in the trial, as you all know. She said that it's not about Sony, it's about the consumers. We know that they said Sony way more than they talked about the consumers during the hearing. Now, they continue to say the foundation that the federal antitrust laws are intended to protect the competition, not the competitors, and certainly not the dominant foreign competitors. It is therefore unsurprising that the FTC failed to meet its incredibly low threshold to obtain a preliminary injunction based on these facts. The FTC should follow the lead of many other jurisdictions that have already cleared the merger. Now, that is a straight rebuke of the FTC. Holy smokes. They are just fed up with them. As they should be, as they're wasting taxpayers' dollars. And you lost so poorly in that case presenting your evidence. You lost an appeal. You lost at the Supreme Court. Why are you still pursuing Microsoft? It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, they follow up by saying in June, the FTC sued Microsoft to stop its acquisition of Activision Blizzard, a video game company, and on July 11th, Judge Jacqueline Corley of the Northern District of California denied the FTC's injunction motion, finding that the FTC failed to demonstrate a likelihood that the transaction will substantially lessen the competition in the video game library subscription and cloud gaming market. And indeed, the evidence points to more consumers have access to Activision content. On July 14th, the Ninth Circuit denied the FTC's emergency motion for a preliminary injunction against the merger closing. So that's it. Take your L. It is over. There's nothing to fight about here. Lena Khan has given the FTC organization a black eye. It is time to drop this deal and to go against real serious offenders, people that are not good for consumers, not on a deal that has been proven worldwide to benefit consumers. Anyways, that's pretty much it, man. It was a pretty long read today. I want to know what you guys think about all this. What are your thoughts on Microsoft extending until the October 18th close date? Now, like I said before, I don't think it's going to take that long. I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that this deal will be done before the 29th of August. I'm calling it the second week in August that it will be done. But realistically, anywhere from now till then, it can close. And also, we found out today that the CMA can give Microsoft its blessing to close the deal, and they'll just have to exclude certain parts of the company so that they can legally meet the requirements with the UK. So that's also good news and signals that this deal will close sooner than later. So everybody just needs to be patient here. I know everybody is anxious. They just want this deal to be over. And I'll say this, there's no imminent threats coming from the FTC. The CMA and Microsoft are on the same page. The judge that was overseeing the case, he told both sides to make sure that you get this done. Now, the CMA is going to submit some documents, or I should say evidence, to the judge on Thursday. And at that point in time, the judge, I'm fully expecting him to grant the stay on the appeal, and then they'll hash out the deal. Now, at that point, the CMA can tell Microsoft, okay, we are satisfied with everything that you presented. We give you the blessing to close the deal in the rest of the world, and we'll get to our part in the UK. They can do that. Now, I don't know for certainty if this will happen, but it is an option, as we read on Tom Warren's post. Bottom line, this deal is going to get done sooner or later, and with certainty, I do believe this will get done by the month of August. Also, I want to know what you guys think about Congress going after the FTC and telling them to drop this case against Microsoft. Like we all saw in the trial, their case was extremely weak and they wasted the taxpayers' dollars. They wasted it with not just one, but two appeals. There is nothing that supports the FTC's claims, and there's nothing that shows that they will be able to stop this merger. So why are you continuing to waste the taxpayers' dollars? Let's not forget that their funding was cut by 25%. The Congress is not happy with it. Most of the American people are not happy with this. They are wasting the taxpayers' dollars. This is something that is good for consumers, and the FTC is supposed to protect the consumers. Like everybody else, I just want this deal to be over with. I think the FTC should just take its losses and move on. And I think that Congress is probably going to push them in that direction. I'm going to be honest with you guys, things are probably going to slow down tremendously on this deal. We're probably not going to hear much about it until it's finally about to close. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Like I usually say, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.